it's a pleasure to have Mark Plummer and the Opera Workshop with us today. This is the second year that we have been able to incorporate other programs into what we're doing here in the museum. Last year we did something called Art Moves Me that included theater, poetry, and chorale in response to the art. And then Mark and I talked last year about the fact that he was going to do Aaron Copland. And I went, that's awesome because we're going to have these wonderful landscapes. So we began planning at that time. So anyway, I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome and introduce Dr. Mark Plummer, who is Associate Professor of Music and Director of the Opera Program.
So the opera that I've chosen this year to perform, and this is AU's first full-length opera. This is the full-length opera we've ever performed at AU. We've done one-act operas before. This is a 3-act opera, and it lasts about an hour and 45 minutes. So it's not Wagner, it's not 4 hours, but it's a full-length opera. It was composed between 1952 and 1954 by Aaron Copland, the Dean of American Music of the 20th century. By the 50s, he was well-established as the greatest composer in America. And this piece was like some of his other really significant works, like Appalachian Spring. This was a commission. He was hired to write this one. Appalachian Spring was a commission from Martha Graham, the choreographer, and he wrote the music, and then she listened to it, and then she gave it the title Appalachian Spring. He had composed the whole thing with no title specifically in mind. He just wanted it to sound American. And then Martha Graham said, they came up with the title together. This one was a commission by Rodgers and Hammerstein, the musical theater composers. They commissioned a American opera from the great American composer. So between 1952 and 1954, he wrote this, and the intention of this was to be premiered on NBC television. So between 52 and 54, as he's composing it, the NBC orchestra and players are having previews. They're taking the snippets of the work that he's done, and they're showing it to the producers of NBC. In the end, by 1954, the producers had lost interest, and they had decided that it wasn't right for NBC. So that project was shelved. He did, however, with particularly Oscar Hammerstein's help, not that Copland needed much help, but New York City Opera decided that they would premiere it, which they did in 1954. And it flopped, largely because it was put between The Marriage of Figaro and Don Giovanni in the season. So it was sandwiched between two Mozart masterpieces. You have this brand new, little, by comparison, sort of folkish opera between these two giant war horses of opera, and it didn't do very well. He did a couple rewrites of things, and starting in the 1960s, colleges picked this opera up and started to perform it quite regularly. Probably the most famous production of this was done on a farm by the University of Minnesota. It was actually done on a farm, as it is set on a farm. So they did the entire production with a full orchestra in front of a barn with real animals, a real farmhouse, and they performed it al fresco in the dairy air, as you say. So the story, it tells the story of the Moss family. We have Ma Moss, Dalilah, represented there as Ma Moss. We have Lori Moss, who is a high school senior. It's played by those people, a high school senior, and it's set all within about 24 hours, even less. And the day that it's set is the party for Lori's graduation. And all of the neighbors are coming for this party. And Grandpa, which is that. Owns the farm. Grandpa Moss owns the farm. This opera is a little bit like a Disney movie in that one of the parents is missing and nobody knows what, it's never addressed what happened to Dad, but Dad is not in the picture. So there's another Moss. Beth Moss is her little sister. It's a speaking role in the opera. Beth is supposed to be about 10 or 12 years old. So the opera opens with Ma rocking on the porch with her needlepoint singing about the bits of metal that run her life, her needle, her thimble, her stove, her, what's the other one? And her kettle. All of the things that she needs as a farm wife to run her household. Beth is playing with her little doll named Daniel around the front. And then Lori comes home from school with her books and she sings a wonderful little aria about how, it's really a coming of age aria, about how when she was a little girl this farm seemed gigantic and it seemed to be her whole world, but as she got older the world shrunk and now she really wonders what's available outside of this farm. The opera is set ostensibly in the 1930s during the Dust Bowl, although it's not overt in the setting. It can be really set anytime. Traditionally, it's set in the 1930s. So after Lori sings this, they start to get ready for the party, and two drifters, two young men looking for work, wander onto the farm. And that is Martin, played by these two gentlemen here, and Top, played by Jake. Martin is looking for good, honest work and a nice, soft place to lay his head for a while. Top is looking for food and some canoodling if he can find a nice girl here or there. And so they're good compliments to each other. And they'll meet Lori. They have a little song with Lori, and then Grandpa comes in, and Grandpa is terribly overprotective of his girl, and so seeing two young men on his farm next to his granddaughter, they have a discussion, and so the boys charm Grandpa. Grandpa decides to hire them for seasonal work because it's harvest time. He needs that help. And he then invites them to the party. Earlier in the opera, the postman comes and to deliver Lori's dress for graduation. Graduation is the next day, and the postman, like so many were at this time, not only delivers the mail, he delivers the gossip. So he and Ma have a little gossip session about two drifters that set upon a poor innocent girl in the next county, and they're looking for them. And so then, lo and behold, two drifters show up on their farm. So Ma is immediately suspicious of these men. Grandpa has no idea what's going on. So our presentation, I'll tell you a little bit more as we go along. Our presentation is going to start with Mallory singing Lori's aria, the first time that we see the first time that we see Lori as she's talking about how the world keeps shrinking and how maybe there's something interesting outside of this farm that I might be able to explore. So Lori's aria.
think I'd like to try to go down all those roads beyond that line above the earth and 'neath the sky. Tomorrow when I sit upon the graduation platform stand, I know my hand will shake when I reach out to